Yuta Okotsu is someone reliable, someone Gojo considers to be one of the few to surpass him, and someone he can rely on. Everyone in the universe and even the audience believes he can become the next Gojo, and is the second coming of him, and it makes sense. Having one of the highest rivers of cursed energy and arguably the strongest curse by his side, of course, he's strong. But an aspect of him most people don't really talk about is his curse technique copy, and the potential of it that comes to the table. But before I delve deeper into the video, if you want to see more of this content or want to see more similar content, hit the subscribe and like button as it helps me greatly, and comment what you want to see from me next. Now, a curse technique is a representation of a person's soul. As stated by Kenjaku, curse techniques dictate our worlds, and we see this within characters like Gojo. Because of his limitless curse technique, feels a literal isolation because no one can touch or understand him. Or Mahito, who likes to play with others, can literally and figuratively see and manipulate the soul. But in particular, we see with Yuta in Volume 0 that he tries to be more like Maki and Inumaki in particular, and just wants to imitate his friends. For example, he literally just copies Inumaki's curse speech, and although it being his first time, he still doesn't think he compares to him or Maki in terms of abilities when he obviously surpassed him. But we even see a current Yuta being able to perfectly copy others' abilities into the Sendai Colony arc. This could be because A, he is more confident in himself, and as we know, Yuta has definitely gained a confident boost, and C, he's went through a huge character development and change within the series of JJK. Now, Ishiguro does theorize Yuta needs to get a piece of the individual to copy their curse techniques because, Rika eats Earl's arm, but we see that Yuta never does anything to Inumaki, and even Kenjaku has full knowledge on Yuta, refers to it as an unconditional copy in reference to his curse technique. In chapter 249, we finally get a confirmation on what exactly Yuta Okotsu's domain expansion is after almost 2 years of waiting to see it. Not only does it give confirmation for his domain expansion, but it also gives rise to new speculation and theories on what this means next. So going in on Yuta pulls up and fights Sukuna alongside Rika, and manages to tag him in the stomach where his second mouth is, and he manages to momentarily clash with them. Yuta blaming himself for all the suffering his friends went through, and in his opinions, the deaths he's caused, he wants to take responsibility and just use his domain expansion right then and there, with it being called true mutual love, which is an array of katanas lying around what appears to be a battlefield. An important clue is that Yuta is able to use Oro's thin icebreaker and hit Sukuna square on the face with it and crack it. The translation differs, but in the TCB, Sukuna states that Yuta's copy abilities are without any restrictions whatsoever. So at least this implies two important things. One, Yuta can use any copy curse technique in the form of a katana to attack and hit the opponent. And two, it seems as if Yuta may now just be able to copy the opponent's curse technique without a condition as well. But another important thing is that Sukuna implies that the katanas aren't a guaranteed hit, and implies that Yuta can and will choose the Angel's curse technique to completely eradicate and erase Sukuna. In addition, as we know, domains are basically amping one's stats as well, and the potential of the curse technique to at least 120%. So not only should Yuta be amped, but possibly Rika should be as well. But the main factor of the domain that would impact is potentially Rika being able to use her copy katanas as well to the advantage to tag Sukuna, and this isn't even Rika fully manifested yet, meaning Yuta has yet to use his full arsenal and full capabilities yet. But I do think Yuta's domain expansion was definitely worth the wait, and it's a pretty interesting concept that most people definitely weren't expecting. So Yuta's ability to copy others is pretty insane right now, but the main takeaway is how it is the key to stopping Sukuna. Well, for one, we know for a fact that while in his domain, he has access to Angel's ability to nullify curse techniques, and we even see it visually taking down Sukuna when she used it on him prior. Even a thin icebreaker to the face does damage to Sukuna's face to the point where he even praises it. But the main thing to keep in mind is that Sukuna only has access to 2 arms and 1 mouth at the moment, so he can chant and continue his control over Hollow Wicker Basket. So he doesn't have the access to the same advantage that he has over most sorcerers. He has yet to fully recover his reverse curse technique output, and he still hasn't had the ability to use his domain expansion yet. But if you want a more in-depth analysis on what I mean, check out Yuta and Yuji video that I made a while ago. But if Sukuna does get his domain back, Yuta just loses the fight right here and now. However, we do see Sukuna takes a distinct interest in Yuta, as he calls him his main dish apparently, and being the last person to entertain him. As in the last chapter, we see Sukuna mention how he doesn't have any ideals, and that because Yuji is standing up to him despite being so weak and being able to match him, he's finding it to be quite distasteful and wants to just end it all right here now. Sukuna has the knowledge that Yuta can copy others, and we see he especially likes to toy and explore what others can't do. Now, we don't know if Sukuna has ever fought someone who would copy others, but it's possible that Sukuna may just let Yuta copy his curse technique to see what he can do with it and have fun with them. Not only that, but with Rika there not being fully manifested, it's possible he can have more better proficiency with copy, since we know he needs Rika to do it when he's not in his domain expansion in base. But the main takeaway of Yuta's copy is not just the copy itself, but the fact that Yuta can incorporate other techniques into his fighting style and shows variety while fighting. And for example, in the Sendai quality, we see how he's able to implement Drew Shikigami and Uros then Icebreaker, and their ability to morph the space around them while he's deflecting Ishigori's attacks. Just from a mere glance, he gets the essentials down and seemingly masters it, knowing how and when to use it. So if he adapts to cleave and even the world cutting slash, he may be able to just turn it against Sukuna and make it a deadly weapon against him. And keep in mind, this is without the knowledge of the apparently 50 plus curse techniques he potentially copied, and with a domain expansion amplifying the stats of the user, is frightening what Yuta could possibly do with all this. Seeing as Yuta is clouded in thoughts about who to blame for the deaths of Gojo and the others, now would be the perfect time for him to reaffirm his ideals to protect his friends and loved ones. After all, because of them, this was what allowed his curse technique to bloom in the first place, and what allowed him to push his ideals to become friends and loved. But this all depends on how Yuta is able to utilize copy within his domain expansion alongside Rika, and how much Sukuna has an interest in him.